Hi, welcome to episode 332 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarn and my knitting patterns. And we do have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. I am not in there very much, but there is a thread in there for Tour de Fleece, which I will get to a little further on. So hi, how are you? It is Monday, June 7th. It is 85 degrees here today, and we can feel the summer. So I have been working today. I had a wonderful weekend. I hope that you are doing well. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. I hope you'll enjoy. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. It's good to see you again. I hope that you have had a lovely weekend. We actually did. We're getting small snippets of what returning to life might be like. On Saturday, we went to a friend's birthday party. It was about 10 or 12 of us, and we were outside pretty much the whole time in the yard, which was really nice. It was warm, but they had a tent set up for some shade, and we celebrated our friend's 40th birthday. He's a couple years behind us. But it was a nice evening, and it was good to see people again. We really hadn't seen people much at all in the pandemic, so it was just nice to be out again. And then yesterday, Wes and I ventured out for our first meal out in the entire pandemic. And I guess technically he and I both did that a week ago. But together it was like our first date night, our first meal out. We went to a barbecue place near here that is never very busy. So the tables are fairly spread out, and so we went and did it, and that milestone is sort of done. It feels weird to me to get back to whatever normal is going to be, because there are still quite a few infections and not everyone is vaccinated. But I guess we're moving there in small steps. It was a good crafting weekend. I've been working on a variety of things, one of which I can't show you, which is where I've spent the most of my time, but I do have a few new things to show you. I did get finally a few cast-ons this week, and so I will have more interesting things to show you in the coming week. So I hope that you're doing well. Let's jump right in. Today I decided to drink a cold brew tea, and honestly it doesn't look like much. I'm hoping it will taste like something. This is Pig's Cold Brew, and basically they're tea temples to put in your water bottle. So I just got a cup of iced water and then put one in there, and this one is cucumber and apple. And I have had this one before. It's pretty good. I like it. These are naturally caffeine free. There's no sugar added, but if you like a little flavor to your water, which I do, I also have the peach one. The only one I do not have is there is a rose one, but I actually do not normally care for rose. So this is cucumber and apple, and actually I thought about putting a slice of green apple in there. I think that would be good. I have one of those, but I didn't open it. I was going to look and see if there's anything else that's in there on the ingredients list. Ingredients says apple, pomace, citric acid, white hibiscus, spirulina, cucumber extract, cucumber, and natural flavors. It contains lychee nut and may also contain coconut. That's probably just based on where it's packaged. So it tastes delicious. It is a nice, cool summer treat. So that is what I'm drinking today. So let's get into the projects. I have a finished object. I finished my socks. I know I was close when we spoke last week. I had some of the foot left. I had already turned the heel on the second sock. These are the Linea Socks. They were designed by Susanna Winter of Talvy Knits. I don't know whether they're available for purchase yet, but if they are not available yet, they will be soon. And I knit it as part of her beta test, which was she was launching a new social group, and so she did a beta test on these socks where you could knit them for free if you gave her some feedback. There were drawings for prizes and some other things. I didn't really care about that. I just wanted to knit some socks. I knit these with Essence of Autumn in her Pasture Sock, which is 80% BFL, 20% nylon in the colorway Black Cherry. They are sort of a newer yarn being carried. Well, okay, I don't know if it's a new yarn. It is newly being carried at Eat Sleep Knit, and I purchased a skein about a month and a half ago when I decided I wanted to take part in the second quarter Eat Sleep Knit Imaginary Internet Points. So I just need to post my photo and add that to my Eat Sleep Knit account, but those are finished. I used about 250 yards. I technically knit the medium size. I was afraid that these would be a little bit tight because of the cabling sort of pulling them in. And so I knit 60 stitches on a US 1.5, which is a 2.25 millimeter, no, a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. And that is a little bit larger than I usually go, but these fit really, really nicely. So I am pleased. The only, well, okay, I should say the only modification. The modification that I made is this pattern was written to be toe up, and I did it top down. And I did not really change anything other than that. I accidentally knit a slip stitch heel flap rather than an Eye of Partridge heel. So I did that on the second one as well. That was unintentional. But I did produce the socks pretty faithfully. I did the twisted rib up at the top. I did the cable pattern. Even though it's upside down, the cable pattern is meant to look sort of like diamonds. So I still have that, and I extended the cable pattern all the way down to the foot, which was how she started it, where you started with the toe. Sorry, I extended it all the way down to the toe. I didn't do plain toe rounds, and that's because she had you start at the toe with the pattern. These kind of subtly striped, which I like. So yeah, that was just a fun knit. I have about, I used 0.67 skein of the skein, so I have some left over. I don't know if I have enough to make a pair of kids socks. That's what I was wondering, is whether I could get some shorties out of these. This is not as soft as the yarn I usually use for the kids because this is BFL, which I am absolutely thrilled about. It's not itchy, it's just a little bit more rustic than like the super soft merinos that I often use for the kids. I like this because I feel like the socks will wear really well when they're a little bit hardier, and I do love a BFL sock blend. So I can recommend the yarn, I can recommend the pattern, and those are done and dusted, and I have two just so you can see that I'm not cheating. Both of them are done. So that's that one finished. So I actually ended up casting on three new things. One is a sample for knit picks that I can't tell you about. So I'm almost done with that. I should finish that this evening, but that's what I worked on most of last week. It's just a simple accessory pattern, so it wasn't terribly hard, but I worked on kind of cranking that out so I can return it. So then I cast on two new things. The first thing that I cast on is I cast on for a new baby blanket. As you have seen, I like to have a blanket going next to my computer, particularly now that I'm doing tons of Zoom calls. We're doing Zoom knit night. I like keeping something simple next to my computer that I can pick up and put down. And a couple months ago, before this last baby blanket that I finished, I did a chevron pattern called Catch the Wave. It is from, I think, Yarnspirations. It's a site, I actually got it on, it was on the back of a label of a Karen, one of the big cakes, but I think they're called big cakes, I can't remember, but I adapted it to be knit with Stylecraft DK. So I actually have 3 more skeins of Stylecraft DK. The last one that I did was pinks. It was like a really, really magenta pink, and then kind of a slightly softer pink, and then a real like baby, barely there pink. And so what I have done is this time I have oranges. So this is Shrimp. It is the darkest orange. This is called Blush, which is kind of a pinky orange. And then I have this one, which is called Apricot. So I'm going to do it basically as somewhat of a gradient. It's a chevron pattern. And last time when I got towards the end of the first skein, I just alternated the skeins for 2 rows a piece until I ran out of one, and then continued in the other, and then did it again. So I have started, and I've gotten a few inches in on my shrimp. So again, this is called Catch the Wave pattern. It's by Yarnspirations. It is a very, very simple chevron. Basically, it is a 2-row repeat, and the second row is almost entirely purling. So it's got a little bit of a garter edge both at the bottom and at each side. Other than that garter edge, it is all purling. It's super simple. You know, you're adding some stitches and knitting some stitches together just to create your chevron. This blanket is going to be slightly, ever so slightly different than the last blanket. The last blanket I knit on a size 6 needle with my DK yarn, and I felt that it was a little bit tight. I always felt like I was like working to get the stitches. So this time I went up to a US 8, and because I did that and I knew it was gonna change my gauge quite a bit, I actually cast on 1 repeat fewer. So I think the blanket is going to be roughly the same size. It might possibly be a little longer, but it should be about the same size in width, but I have like 1 less repeat of this. So basically like maybe 2 inches less. So I'm excited about that. This will come along slowly. I have no deadline. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. Technically, I want to get this done for the fall. I have 2 other blankets already, and this would make a 3rd. And in the fall, my husband is taking a sabbatical from work, and one of the things that he needs to do is do some kind of a community service project. And he is talking about knitting a blanket. He's going to knit his first object, and he wants to knit a blanket to donate, and so I thought I would knit some blankets through the course of this year to get some yarn out of stash, and I knit one from the Karen Big Cakes over Christmas, and then I knit the pink one, so I figured I would add this one to the mix. So this just sits by my computer. It gets worked on when I have nothing else that I can work on, like if I have something that's a complicated pattern or whatnot, work on it during my staff meetings, etc. So that's what I'll be working on, but those are my 3 colors, and it'll be a nice little gradient blanket to keep me occupied. My hope is actually that I can finish it this summer so I can count it towards Stash Dash. And my local yarn shop is also having a summer road trip, and the road trip miles are yardage. So I'm hoping I can work this one into there as well. So the last thing that I worked on is I did actually cast on for a new project, and this is one that I've been saying for a while. I did finally cast on for sweaters for the kids, technically just a sweater. I cast on for Roxy's sweater. For both kids, I am going to be knitting Little Sock Arms, which is a pattern by Stephanie Lotvin, who is Telly Bean Knits, and it makes use of striped sock yarn. It was designed so that you could use the striped sock yarn on the sleeves, so they'd be fun and stripy, and then the rest of the body you would use a more solid color that matches. So the one I decided to start with Roxy's because hers is bigger. I'm knitting the size 8T. Well, it says T, but 8. And so I am using 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. The skein that inspired this is a skein of sock yarn that I bought during the pandemic. This is from Havierland on Etsy, and I really, really, really like her stuff. And this is called Unicorn Taco, and it is a fun 4-striper. It's got kind of a blush shrimpy pink. It's got a very mint green, and then it's almost coming across as royal blue, but it's actually purple. And then it's got a section of speckles, which is all kinds of fun colored speckles of all the other colors and some colors that are not in there. It's completely rainbow speckled. And so when I decided that I wanted to do the sock arm sweater, I went looking for a solid that I could use for the body. Or a color that would go with this to use for the body, and I didn't find one, and so I emailed Havierland. I cannot remember her first name, which is terrible of me. I emailed her and said, hey, is there any chance, it does not say. Yeah, it does not, but it's havierland.etsy.com. I emailed her and asked if she would even consider dyeing up a skein of one of these colors for me so that I could use that as the body, and she was super sweet and agreed to. So I had her dye up a skein of the speckles because I thought that would be super fun. It's totally blowing out on the camera right now, but I hope that you can see it. And so I got a skein of speckles in the same, I think it's the same base. Yep, it's the same base as the stripey. So I am working on this sweater. The sweater is worked in the round from the bottom up, and then you add the sleeves. You work the sleeves in the round from the top down after you have kind of done the body. So now I have a lot of body to do, and it turns out that there is not a lot of shaping. There's not a lot to it. So basically, I just have to knit a tube for a lot of inches. I won't talk about stitch counts or number of inches inches because that's in the pattern. Then there are detailed instructions for the top of each, you know, where you break for the front and back. There's detailed instructions for those, and then how to do the sleeves. But at least right now I'm just knitting the body from the bottom up. And I actually got stalled. So you can see last night I knit the ribbing for the bottom of the sweater. So I have about an inch of 1x1 ribbing in my gorgeous speckle. It's on a fairly small needle, so that's why I'm just having a little trouble showing it to you. I'm really, really pleased with this. I realized that I could not move on to the regular body because I need the needles that are in the sample that I need to finish. So this is as far as I got last night. Got through the cast on and the knitting. I am experimenting a little bit with gauge. I need to, I did a swatch, but of course swatches sometimes lie, and my gauge is a little off from what the pattern says, so I need to make sure that this is what I need, but I need to wait for the, so I started on a size 2 for the ribbing. So the pattern calls for a size 4 and a size 6. 4 for the ribbing and 6 for the body, and a gauge of 6 stitches per inch. I have been lately finding that I need to drop a needle size or 2 to be able to get gauge. So what I did is I went ahead and did the ribbing for the body on size 2s. Because it will make it, I think it will have plenty of stretch. I will have to double check my measurements in just a bit, and then I'm going to go up to 4s for the bodies and for the body, and the 4 that is the exact size that I need is actually in the other project. I could use a longer 4, but then I would have to magic loop, and so I want to pull the short one and put it in this project so that I can use it. So this one is stalled for a day or two while I finish that sample. So that's what I'm working on though, but I hope by next week to have something really to show you on this, several inches on the body. My husband is actually going out of town this weekend, and so I am hoping that I will get lots and lots done. My plan is to watch movies, read books, and knit on this. And this is just going to be a simple stockinette tube. So while I may have to rip it out and move to a different size needles, set of needles, I am not super concerned about the actual knitting of it because it's going to be pretty simple. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to finally dig in, and I hope that all these things will keep me busy in the next couple weeks before Tour de Fleece starts. So let me take a quick sip of tea, and then we'll talk about spinning, and we'll talk about Tour de Fleece. So this week I was spinning a really pretty braid that I said was not really my taste, but then when I opened it up and started spinning it, I decided I really liked it. It is from Mayfield Fiber Arts, and it is a super soft 19 micron count merino. Super soft, and it was dyed sort of in pastel colorways to be like summer sorbet. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, pinks and greens and peaches and meh. But then I realized that it actually really was dyed in a beautiful gradient, and so I spun it in that gradient. So it's really hard to show you. Maybe this will show you. It looks like rainbow sorbet to me. You have like the raspberry or strawberry, or I guess it's usually raspberry, and then you have the orange or peach section, and then you've got kind of the green lime section, and it really is summer to me. So I spun this in a 2-ply gradient. What I did was I divided the entire braid was dyed. It went green through a little bit of purple to peach and raspberry, and then raspberry back out through peach and purple to green. So I divided the fiber exactly in half and spun each half straight through, and then I 2-plied it. And sometimes, depending on how many color changes you have in a braid, when you spin that way, the colors do not line up very well, and you don't end up with a 2-ply gradient. Because there were so few colors in this braid, there were only like 4, and also because they were very soft and they very softly transitioned into each other, I did not have a lot of trouble with that. So this would be a really lovely gradient to put into a shawl or something like that, to use in its full, because it actually will go from that raspberry red through raspberry reddish pink through a peach, and then through a little bit of a almost purple, into like a real pale lavender into this nice minty limey green. So I think that's a real fun summer colorway. It still needs to be washed, but it will go up in the shop this week. My guess is I got around 300 yards. I have not finished weighing it and measuring it yet, but it is super, super soft. It would be great for next to the skin wear. It would make a great little summer kerchief or shawlette, and I think it's really soft and pretty. And like I said, even though they are not my usual colors, this one came out really nicely. I was very surprised and very happy. And the fiber was beautiful to spin. It was beautifully prepped. So I will definitely be checking her out in the future. That is Mayfield Fiber Arts. It was a new to me fiber. So unfortunately, I don't have a new braid to share with you for this coming week because I am back to sheep spinning. I got, I'm back to chicken spinning. As you know, I work for a local artisan who creates custom chickens. They are basically art pieces, and we are doing a black and white chicken for the next collection. And so I am spinning black fiber and I am spinning white fiber. And none of it is very interesting. I'm spinning fairly thick singles to be knit into chicken feathers. And my goal actually is to get all the spinning done in the next 2 weeks so that when it's time to start Tour de Fleece, I can spin whatever I want to spin. Not that I don't want to spin this custom spin, but I would love to work on either some braids for a sweater or some braids for the shop during the tour. I like spinning lots of color and fun, and I just need to get through the black and white so that I can move on to that. So I did not bring any to show you. I have spun a couple skeins of black already. Like I said, these are kind of quick and dirty, real thick spins, and I will be working on those in the next 2 weeks, so there won't be a lot of spinning content on the podcast. But that is in hopes that I can do lots of spinning contest for Tour de Fleece. So, quick explanation for those of you who are new here. Tour de Fleece coincides with the Tour de France over the summer. And it was initially kind of a fun challenge for people to spin on their spinning wheels while the Tour de France is spinning on their bikes. For many of us, it is an excuse to watch the tour and spin lots. It is just kind of a fun event that breaks up the summer. I have been spinning in the Tour de Fleece since, I believe, at 2010 when I first learned to spin. The first year I spun on spindles and did maybe 1 or 2 skeins throughout the tour. My husband and I started watching the tour then and got very into watching the bike race. So it is always a summer highlight for me. For the last several years, I have hosted a team on Ravelry for the Corner of Knit and Tea. We call it Team CKT. And I invite anyone who would like to spin with us to come join us. You do have to spin, although you can hang out and be part of the cheering crowd if you'd like to be. But there are no rules on how you can spin. Spin in any format, spin any fiber, as much or as little as you want. The tour is exactly what you make of it. This year, because of all the issues with Ravelry, we're doing something a little bit new. That is, I'm hosting it in a variety of places. Technically, Tour de Fleece is a Ravelry event. It was started on Ravelry, so I did officially register our team in the Ravelry event, and I started a thread in the Ravelry group that's the Corner of Knit and Tea. So if you would like to participate there, you are more than welcome to. I do not know what the participation level will be there, and I will only be checking in occasionally because I actually do not use Ravelry that much these days. However, for those of us who are not, who cannot use Ravelry or who are not as interested in using Ravelry, I have also done something else. I started a Facebook group. You can find the link to the Facebook group either on the blog in the show notes or in my Instagram profile. It is called Team CKT. And you are more than welcome to join and post your progress there, cheer people on there. If you don't like Facebook, that's fine too. I just wanted to create a place where if people wanted to chat and share their photos, they could, because I have always enjoyed the chatter thread, where we kind of share our progress and what we're thinking about spinning and those kinds of things. The final way you can participate is if you do not want to participate on Facebook or Ravelry in the chatter, you can also post photos on Instagram. And you should post your photos using the hashtag TeamCKT2021. So TeamCKT2021. That is our group hashtag. And if you post photos using that hashtag, I will be able to look up your photos and find you. So, this year I will, as always, be awarding prizes throughout the tour. That will be fun fibers for you to spin. It traditionally has been Hello Yarn, Fat Cat Knits, all the fibers that I spin. And usually I do a prize a week based on the chatter threads. And so I will be looking at the Ravelry thread, the Facebook thread, and the Instagram posts. I haven't entirely decided how I'm going to collate doing that, whether I'm going to pick like a location a week or whether I will put them all in the hat every week. I just haven't decided yet on how the logistics will be easiest. But basically, everyone who's posting in one of those three places will have some chances to win a prize. The other thing that I will do is at the end of the tour, anyone who spun for the tour, if you posted in Ravelry, Facebook, or on Instagram, each person will be entered once into the hat to win the grand prize. That's usually 2 bags of fiber and some other fun swag, some tea, some chocolate, some something. And I draw that one at the end after the tour is completed from everyone who has been in the tour. In the past, I've asked people to post a picture of all their finished spins, but because we're in so many places, I'm probably not going to do that at all. So if you pop up in some place, either using my hashtag or chatting in either of those places, you'll be considered part of the team and eligible for that final prize draw. You can double, triple dip. You can be on as many teams as you want. You have to follow all the other teams' rules. My team does not have a lot of rules. Spin, enjoy it. Be supportive of other people. So no, treat others as you would wish to be treated, and I will moderate the forums if there is any problem. There has never been in the past, but I'm just saying that. And then the only other rule is you have to post somewhere if you want to be, quote, part of the team or eligible for prizes. If you're not active on Ravelry, Instagram, or Facebook, go ahead and send me an email message. You can send it to thecornerofknitandtea@gmail.com. Send me a photo, let me know you're participating, etc., and you will be considered a member of the team. So, not complicated, not a lot of rules, just hang out and spin with us. I am starting to amass spins. Like I said, I can't decide if I am going to spin a sweater quantity, which I do have, or whether I'm going to spin some braids for the shop, or whether I'm going to do some of both. Usually I manage to get through about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of fiber, and I am hoping for that this year, although I may be traveling in the middle of the tour, so I don't know how that will play out. I'm just going to have to see. The tour kicks off on Sunday, June 26th and runs through Saturday, June 26th and runs through Sunday, July 18th. You are encouraged to spin as many days as you can, as much as you can. There are official rest days and official challenge days. I don't do much with those, but those correspond with the rest days on the tour and the challenge days on the tour. The challenge days are always, they're a heavy day of cycling, so they are challenge yourself to do something fun, and they always occur before the rest days. And all of those days are noted in both the Facebook group and in the Ravelry group thread. I have been amassing some prizes. I've placed some orders for some new spinning fiber for myself and also for you. So I'm really following the one for you, one for me every time I order. And I'm trying some new to me BIPOC dyers. So that will also be available. We've also had a couple people offer to donate some prizes. And so I'm going to get in contact with them this week. So I think that is my Tour de Fleece spiel. If you have any questions, you can leave them here below on the YouTube video or come join the Facebook group. I did invite some of you who I'm Facebook friends with to the Facebook group. If you don't want to participate, no problem. I just noticed you were there. And I think that's it. So, if you got through all of that, thank you for joining me. I hope you are having a wonderful week. It is Monday here. I'm hoping for a good week. On Thursday, I'm going to go to lunch with some friends. We're going to go to a local botanical garden and sit outside there, so I'm looking forward to that. We are actually all vaccinated, but we still decided to go outside because the weather is so beautiful. On Friday, I'm getting my car serviced, so I suspect that will be, I have a recall on my car, and I need to go in and let them look at it for a couple hours. I actually have been holding off for an entire year. The recall notice came in just as everything shut down for the pandemic, and I did not want to go over to the dealership and sit and have to wait for my car. So I just didn't do it. And normally that would not be a good thing, but I also barely went anywhere. For a long time, if I took my car out once every 2 weeks just to go to the post office or the drugstore, it was a big deal. So I decided that I should get my rear in gear and get things done. So I'm going to get my car serviced on Friday, which means lots of knitting time. And then, like I said, my husband will be out of town this weekend, so I am planning to have a total craft fest. I hope I have tons to show you next week. I have a shawl that I'm working on. I hope to make some progress on the blanket. I hope to make lots of progress on Roxy's sweater. And who knows, maybe I'll even cast on something new. And I hope to get through a lot of spinning too, but I probably won't bring that because, again, it's just plain black and plain white yarn. So I hope you have a lovely week ahead. I hope you have something delicious to sip on and something wonderful to craft. And I will say, as I always do, until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy sipping, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.